Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to this edition of Sports U on LearMedia.tv. Press the red button to subscribe to our channel. Good evening, Washington. Joe Waters. Good evening, all the way from the US of A.
Good evening, Pat. Evening, Darwin.
Hey, Darwin. Darwin is Darwin is from an extension of Limerick, which is Wembley in London at the moment, and Darwin has Irish weather over there today, cold and wet, and we have a sunny day all day here in Ireland, which is unusual anyway. I don't know why that is, As we're on here tonight, we have a cup match on. This is the Monday, the 26th of February at 2000 hours, 8 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. And Maidstone are away to Coventry in the fifth round of the FA Cup, and they're a goal behind after 9 minutes. But maybe.
No, they're two down now, Joe. Pat.
Well, there's enough said about that now. We won't have to keep an eye on anymore. Over the past
15.
After 12 minutes.
15.
Coventry are playing well though in the Championship as well. In the Premiership, we had wins for Villa, Palace, Fulham, Man City, Arsenal, Wolves over the weekend, and in the Championship, we had last Friday night we had Leeds beat Leicester last Friday night, was it? I think it was.
Yeah.
Ipswich beat Birmingham 3-1. These are the people who are setting the pace in the Championship. Over the weekend, we had the passing of Stan Bowles and Chris Nicholl. And as I said to Joe there on social media, I saw Stan Bowles playing in what was the name of it? In Loftus Road in 1973. That was not today or yesterday, but we keep ourselves well. But Joe.
The sad news is I played against him in 1974 at Loftus Road. So
I watched him off the road a few times.
Played against him on my debut.
Yeah. Now, you played with Chris Nicholl. Of course, he was a cousin of Jimmy Nichols. People remember Jimmy Nicholl as well. But yeah. Chris Nicholl played with Grimsby, Joe. You were a teammate of Chris. They both died of dementia, both of them. Both Stan Bowles and Jimmy or Chris Nicholl.
And Chris, yeah.
And Chris played in centre back, was it?
Yes, centre half. Yeah.
Yeah. He was. What kind of a character was he? Was he loud on the field, or would you know he's there?
Oh, he was. I mean, he was a good talker. He was a good organizer behind you. I mean, I played in midfield, and he was our centre half, and he would always be telling you, nudging you to one side or the other where he saw the danger might be, penetrating and what have you. So he was a good guy to have behind you like that. Great in the air, very commanding in the air. Didn't take any prisoners, as you could tell by his nose. He broke his nose several times. Yeah. And word was that he had it in his contract with Villa after he broke it several times, that at the end of his career that they would pay to have the plastic surgery to fix his nose.
Yeah.
Because he was expecting to break it a few more times.
Yes. He has much trouble. I mean, at that time in the 60s and 70s, on a wet day with the old footballs, I mean, I'll tell you, if you got a belt of that football and you didn't see it coming, it would whack you. I mean, the footballs today in comparison are like balloons, So, I mean, hitting those balls even on a misty, a wet day, Joe, was something, because they were very, very heavy, very heavy.
Well, the ones that we played with weren't too bad. They were still heavy and they still got soggy. And it's not like it is today where you look around the field and there's 20 balls around the field, and there's a new one comes on every time one goes out to play. You had one, and it would last you for as long as in the season as the paint.
So
sometimes
then
to make them look like they were new and use them. No, but Chris grew up at a time, and both Chris and Stan are just a little bit older than me, but they'd have played at times with the old leather ball that was really, really bad. Had no protection on it, and had that lace that was that kept the bladder inside and what have you.
The lace, you're talking about the laced up one. People I remember the old footballs. Yeah, I remember those as well. I mean, you get a nasty cut from those if you weren't careful, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean the measure of a player that could take a free kick or a corner kick was measured on the fact that he can put the ball in his head with the lace facing away, so that the player heading the ball didn't have to head the lace.
Yeah. That was
judged.
Well, that was the skill that time, you know. Now I couldn't find a clip of Chris Nicholl, but we have a clip here, as I say, of Stan Bowles. So I'm just going to play it now, lads, for all those. I mean, Stan Bowles, to me, carried the mantle of a mercurial soccer player. He carried the George Best mantle after George Best, I think. George Best and Stan Bowles.
He always reminds me of Glenn Hoddle.
Yeah.
Before Glenn Hoddle was Glenn Hoddle.
Yeah. You had a story from Stan Bowles' time, Derwin, did you?
Oh, I mean, quite a funny one, Joe. You'll love this. So at my secondary school, Neasden High, Stan Bowles' wife was a dinner lady.
Okay.
We used to, I'd go on a Saturday and watch him at Clofters Road. And then on Monday, we'd be asking, all the boys in school would be asking her, can you get Stan's autograph for us, please? And the next day, she'd turn up with half a dozen or a dozen pieces of paper.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd collect your dinner at the hat, and she'd be giving you his autograph.
Yeah, there's so many stories out there about Stan. There was one that I read this morning that the Metropolitan Police, they were playing a match against, I think it was Chelsea at Loftus Road. The game was about to kick off and there was no sign of Stan. And the Metropolitan Police put out a bulletin that all the police officers were to be checking the bookie shops down the road to see if where Stan Bowles was, that he was due to be kicking off in 25 minutes and get him to the ground as quick as possible. And then there was the other one where his landlord came around and knocked on the front door of his flat, and Stan opened it and he says, "Yeah," he said, "I'm looking for the rent." Stan says, "Why don't you come in and we'll both look for it?" Yeah, I mean,
I tell you, that's the best one I ever heard. That's just typical of the man. We'll play a little bit here for the lads. He'll enjoy this.
Could you imagine England players of today and the wags?
Well, I think I'm very skillful.
With their wives
probably
working as dinner ladies.
Most skillful in the country, I think so. And I'm told so. So I leave it at that.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full, I've traveled each and every highway and more, much more than this. I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do, and saw it through without exemption. I've planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit up more than I could chew. But through it all, when there was doubt, I ate it up and spit it out. The record shows that I stood tall and did it my way. I've loved, I've laughed, I've cried, I've had my fill, my fair share of losing. And now, as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that. And may I say, not in a shy way, oh no, not me, I did it my way. For what a man, what has he got, if not himself, then he is not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my yes, it was my way.
Player of Stan Bowles was when they were opening the Stan Bowles stand in Loftus Road, you know. After that, he was the dementia got him a lot, you know. But anyway, R.I.P. to Stan and to Chris Nicholl, you know, and one of a kind. I mean, there should be. I mean, it was a pity that he didn't win more caps for England, you know. But I suppose. A lot of that is down to the manager, you know. Why a mercurial, natural footballer like him. Some footballers don't need to train, and I don't mean that they don't have to get out of bed around. I mean that it comes natural to them. They don't have to work on their game. It's a gift they're given, like Stan Bowles, like George Best, like Maradona, you know. I think anyway, Joe. You know what you think yourself, you know.
Oh, I agree. I mean, what these guys had were instincts that were honed on the streets.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were growing up, when I was growing up, I mean, we had grassy areas that we could play in, but a lot of the playing was done on concrete, and you know, you learned to be and there's walls around you. I mean, there was all those brick walls with the pebble dashing on the front of them, that if you fell into them, you did yourself some damage, and you played from gate to gate like we did in the Avenue in Garryowen. So
Yeah.
it made you have good balance. It made you be able to adjust quickly on your feet, and so it's instinct, pure instinct, the way that these guys, some of them played. Frank Worthington, Keith Weller, Tony
Yeah.
Curry. You talk about a few of them. We saw one of the clips there where Stein and Dave Thomas. Dave Thomas, another great
Yeah.
footballer, played with Burnley and then played with QPR afterwards. Just great instinctive players that didn't get enough caps. They weren't trusted by the people that were in charge at the time to not do a defensive job.
Yeah. And looking at that, Darwin, as well, looking at that clip there, that for 4 minutes and 50 seconds to be exact, the grounds, the packed grounds, the excitement, I don't know, that occasion for going to a soccer match is gone. I think it is anyway, going to a soccer match.
Big difference between it is the cost of going to a match nowadays.
Yeah.
You queue up. You didn't have to have tickets. You'd get there early and queue up at the turnstile and go in, and then they'd close the gates and say it's full. That's it. Go home. You need to get here earlier. those days are gone. I mean, the cheapest ticket at Chelsea is 70 quid.
70?
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
I remember going. I'm lucky. I used to see so many England games, but if you paid a £5 for a ticket, you probably were sitting in a nice seat.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday's program at the Caribou Cup was like 20 quid.
Oh my God, for the League Cup. Jeepers.
Yeah, for a program.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it. I mean, I grew up in Wembley, so I used to go, obviously, to the football at Wembley, but I'd go to Arsenal, go to Tottenham, go to QPR.
Yeah.
You'd go to all those North London clubs. And as soon as you got inside the ground, or if you were outside the ground, you bought a programme before you got in. It was one or the other, wasn't it? You either just got in and bought a programme because you wanted to see and have a read of it. That was just normal. It was pennies, wasn't it? It wasn't a lot of money. But you sit there now, and I've been to loads of England games in the last 5 years, and I don't even think about buying a programme. Because you just sit there and go, well, that's just a waste of money.
Yeah.
Because you already know what the team's going to be because it's on your phone.
And, it's hard to know. I mean, we can't do anything about so-called progress, that's the way life is, But I think myself, the idea of bringing your children, your sons and daughters to matches is utterly out of the question. When you talk about Premiership matches, it's out of the question.
Me and my brother grew up.
You nearly want to get sponsorship to bring your family to the match,
Exactly.
But I mean, that's the thing with it. There's the game. You're talking about, you showed those clips and what have you, but I saw one the other day, right, that blew me away. But Manchester United, they're expanded their hospitality stuff, right? But they didn't have enough room for to have everybody on site. So they would have off-site entertainment, food, drink, and what have you. And then they'd bring people to the ground. Well, all of a sudden they're getting complaints from these people, from the people that are buying the hospitality packages, that this is too much, having to be travelled from this location to Old Trafford and then getting in and doing this. So what did he do? They moved season ticket holders away from the area where the hospitality people sit and moved them over to a different area at Old Trafford. You know who won those season ticket holders was? Norman Whiteside.
Yeah.
All right, Norman.
Whiteside scored a winning goal in the FA Cup final.
He did?
Right? A Manchester United legend. He has had a season ticket there for over 25 years in that spot. 25 years. And his name is on the back of the seat. Owen Whiteside, Esquire.
Yeah.
And they upped it, moved it, and so nobody is sacred anymore to that. All that counts is that money.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's become the god of football, and it's the working class people. The only games that working class people can afford to go to now are in the lower leagues.
Yeah.
The championship is expensive, but it's still manageable. You can go to the
You just nicked it straight from me there, Joe, because I was just about to say to you, when we watched those clips, that was majority, I would say 95% of those stadiums would have been working class people.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, if you go to Old Trafford, it's probably 80% corporate and 20% normal people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, even Wembley's the same. You've only got to look in front of all the dugout or behind the dugouts at the new Wembley. When they come out after the first half, there is, I'd say, a third of that stand is empty because they're still in having hospitality. And that third of that stand is empty until they've finished all their desserts and another glass of wine or whatever it is. And then they come wandering out because they're not really there for football anymore. They're there.
There's a long time ago since Roy Keane said about the prawn sandwich brigade, you know. They didn't know anything about soccer. They didn't know what's happening on the pitch, you know.
No. And in the commentary for the League Cup final yesterday, John Champion made the point. He said, look at all those empty seats over behind the they're all the corporate people that know nothing about the game. You know? So
Joe, you've done it. Pat, you've probably done it. I've had corporate hospitality at Wembley, and you're a bit weird if you get up off the table because second half's about to start.
Right.
And you looked at it, what's the matter with him?
The first time I noticed it in Ireland in Croke Park was when Cork were winning All Irelands, which is over 20 years ago now, was in 2005 All Ireland final. I was up there early. I like to get there early and, you know, get the atmosphere and meet people. Well, you know, we were sitting down in our seats, hard paid for seats, mind you, and myself and two of my friends at me, three of us. And, you know, when people are coming into the match, you don't notice who's sitting beside you and around you. But anyway, the match, there was a B match first, and then but during that match, all these people started asking, what's that, you know, is that, you know, they didn't know the game. They were never at a hurling match, and they were in premium seats. We paid it. And they were obviously given tickets by some company. I said, lads, I called over the steward. I said, we are here to see the hurling semi-final coming up soon. I said, I don't want those people talking to me through the match. I said, you tell them if they want to find out the rules of the game, they go down to the pub across the road and they'll find out all they can there. I don't have time for that, you know. I've paid my money. So your man was looking at me. I said, we don't want to start the row. But you know yourself, I was disgusted. People were at an All-Ireland semi-final. There's only one semi-final in the year, and they didn't know the game. They didn't know the white flag and the green flag, and they didn't know about the sideline. I mean, I swear to God, you know.
I better put my hand up here because I ain't got a clue what you're talking about.
Well, I'd say you were one of them. You were behind me. I didn't see you.
I was one of those in front of you, Pat.
He was the one tapping you on the shoulder, asking you.
That's where I remember you from, Pat.
After
that's where we met before.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're lucky I didn't have a hurley with me. But anyway, the Sports News, the program on NewsMedia.tv, and press the red button to subscribe to our channel. After the Premiership matches over the weekend, Liverpool are top with 60 points. Man City are 59. Arsenal 58. Villa 52. Spurs 47. And Man U 44. So they're the top 6 in the Premiership. There's only 12. There's only 12 matches left. Only 12 games left in the Championship, then, which we've been watching as well. Leicester City are 78. These are all have 34 matches played. Leeds United have 72. Ipswich Town have 72. Southampton is 67. West Brom 56. Hull 55. And Norwich and Preston are 52, all with 12 games to go as well. So it's looking like Leicester, Leeds, and Ipswich for the automatic. Leicester, Leeds, and Ipswich. God, it'd be great to see the 3 of them back in the Premiership, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. But it's going to get interesting. It's I watched the Leeds Leicester match on Friday. That was interesting. Only for the
result.
Leicester were winning 1-0 and they scored a goal. There was a perfectly good goal. And they chalked it up for offside. And the linesman didn't see that it had come back off of Leeds player. So he was onside. So the old argument about VAR kind of crosses your mind at that stage, but you know what? The way I see it is that's the way the game was. That's the way the game should be. It's human error, and sometimes you're on the right end of it, sometimes you're on the wrong end of it, and that's the way it goes. So it was, but it was a very good game. Leicester were really unfortunate. They were winning up to the, I think, 82nd minute, and.
Well, they're still 6 points ahead, Joe.
Yeah, but they've lost their last 2 now. You know, and the luck is starting to kind of desert them a little bit because 2 of the goals that Leeds scored were deflections. So, you know, you're missing them at one end and letting them in at the other end, fortunately. So I still think they're going to be fine. I think that they're going to... I think they're going to win it. They are a good team. But it's just the way the game can turn on you sometimes. You know, everything has gone right for you for so long. And then all it just it goes the other way. But it was a very good game. Very good game.
Yeah, we're going to move along to just looking at the Six Nations. And Ireland beat Wales 31-7. Scotland beat England 30-21. And France and Italy drew. I mean, there was a lot of hard luck stories around, but Italy and France, to me, that penalty that Italy got should have been retaken. And anyway, there you go. These are the vagaries. France are very lucky. They got a draw. Italy played well. Wales, I thought, were poorer than I thought they should have been. I thought they'd have been better. They thought they'd have the thing. And the 7 points they got was a penalty try. And so, I mean, really, I was saying to Derwin before the match, before we started, I mean, for a professional rugby team not to score anything in a match is disquieting, really. You know, it's disturbing in a way.
When you watch Wales, they're struggling in the first 20 minutes of every match. They can't dominate the first 20 minutes. They spend the first 20 minutes defending like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, and all those tackles.
They're young lads. They're all getting blooded, which is a good thing. But at the same time, they're giving teams massive head starts.
They are.
And you can only put it down to, I think, the experience, that they're gaining experience. And it's a hard way of looking at it. And, you know...
Well, it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. You have to... You're right, Derwin. You have to go with youth. You have to bite the bullet, and I would laud the management for that, for biting the bullet and going to youth.
What did Gordon Gatland say? I'm not saying we're young, but some of these fellas have to ask their mothers for permission to play.
Yeah.
So it's still...
I mean, I think Josh Adams has had his day. I don't think he does enough covering coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. He goes missing during the games. But then you look at some of those youngsters, like the fullback, that Winnett, Cameron Winnett.
I like
what
him.
nations he's had. He's been fantastic, isn't he?
Yeah, he played.
I like him. I think he'll get on the team of the Six Nations myself. That's just me.
If you look at like with their number 7, what's his name? Is it Terrell? The one who keeps pinching it in the rucks and the stuff. He's doing unbelievably well.
Yeah.
There's probably half a dozen players in there that have actually stepped up, really, and for considering how young they are.
Is that the blonde-haired guy that you're talking about?
Yeah.
I watched him in the Scotland game as well.
Yeah.
He's something else. He really is.
I mean, if you look at it, George North is probably the oldest player on the team. Josh Adams is probably second.
I think George North, he's given huge service to Wales. He's a bit slow now, I think, a bit slow off the mark. He doesn't have the same pace anymore to break the line, you know, but he's still a solid player.
Yeah, I think you're putting, like with the Ireland game, I think you're putting boys out against men. Yeah.
And of course, Ireland are playing the most important match of the Six Nations next. They'll be playing England.
Well, I just think you're going to slaughter him, to be honest.
Well, Scotland
England look terrible.
I did expect Scotland to win it. I fancy Scotland to be the runners up to Ireland in the Six Nations anyway, you know. And I still think Scotland would give Ireland a very good game, as they did last year as well, the last Six Nations, you know. So it's going to be a tough one there, but it's looking like Ireland will retain the crown. The Six Nations, I think.
I can't see who can beat them, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, England won't.
I think they're going to do it as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, they've got another thing on the line as well. That if they get a bonus point at the weekend, they'll be the only team ever to get a bonus point in every round of the.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they are superb. You must hand it to them. They have superb players playing at the top of their game, and I don't see a weak link there now because Crowley has slotted in very well. You know, Jack Crowley slotted in very well as if he was there all the time. You know, it's a very good sign as well. You know, we just moved along because time is flying by. We had a nice bit of golf over the weekend. We had the Lala Merwin Cup, the Ladies European Tour. Bronte Law minus 30. I was glad to see her winning at last. 73, 69, and 64. This was just a 3-round tournament. Then you had the Kenya Open on the DP World Tour. Do you see any golf over the weekend, Derwin? No?
I missed most of the golf. I was out most of the day and then watching the rugby.
Out drinking again. We can't have that, you know. We can't have you drinking the weekend or doing it. And
I'm having fun, am I?
We'd have to get our spy onto the DP World Tour. We have to get our chief researcher on the program to sort it out. We had the Kenya Open, and Darius van Driel. I have no idea who he is or where he's from. I think he's Dutch. He won the Kenya Open DP at minus 14, 66, 69, 68, 67. But the runner-up was Joseph Dean. Joseph Dean just got his card back. He's 29 years of age. He's a delivery driver for Waitrose as well because he couldn't afford. We were talking about it a couple of programs back, Derwin, about the cost of getting to the tournaments because the DP World Tour is genuinely a world tour. So for these guys who just got his card, he's missed a good few of them, but he was going to pack it in. But he said Kenya isn't too far away, so he went to the Kenyan Open. And he was runner-up at minus 12, 69, 69, 68, and 66. But he got 170,000 euro, which is like a huge amount of money for Joseph. I was reading his story. You should read his story. It's very funny. He's a funny guy, you know. And he said that'll set him up now for a couple of more tournaments, you know, and all of that. Yeah. You know, he might get a bit of.
It's true. I mean, it's a lot of money, and you know, guys like him have done really well to get their cards, and they've got full rights to play. And everybody sees the top end; they never see the bottom end of these events.
That's true. That's very true. Now, In the Honda, the LPG tour, and the ladies were in Thailand and Tavatatan Kit.
That was easy for you to say.
Yeah, that's and you can read about it. I won't say it again. She won anyway. She won. She won at minus.
A young Thai lady, yeah, or Korean.
Yeah, 67, 66, 62. Our own Leona Maguire had a reasonably good tournament. She finished at -8, but she had 3 rounds in the 70s, and you know the way the women are playing and the men, you can't afford that in any tournament. 70, 67, 71, and 72. But she did well, you know. McIlroy has been offered €750 million to join Liv. I was reading two of the golf things. Did you read that, Derwin?
Yeah.
750 million to join Liv Golf. But it's not the money.
What do you think he's thinking?
Well, the way I look at it is this. It's not the money, really. And I know it's stupid to say that. I think the ramifications for golf if McIlroy joins Liv. The PGA Tour, they had the Mexican Open over the weekend, and I was looking down. Was it the Mexican Open, was it?
Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Mexican Open.
Was,
yeah. I forgot who won it. I forgot to take down who won it. Anyway, people can look it up themselves. But I didn't know. Even my son who's into golf was watching it, and he said, no, I don't know these guys, you know. I don't know any of them in the top 20, you know. He knew one all right.
I didn't reckon
Liv are throwing that out there just to absolutely throw a curveball at the PGA Tour.
Yeah,
because
McIlroy
does like the money. He does like having his back pocket.
I mean, if you were 30, what is it, 37, 46, 37?
Listen, anybody in their normal world don't be shocked if he's not already accepted it. I mean, are you really going to walk away from that kind of money?
A private jet for yourself?
He's got that already.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You have a bigger one.
Yeah, he gets the jumbo this time.
Anyway, over the weekend we had the Players' Championship in snooker as well. I watched a bit of that last night to calm myself down. Mark Allen won that, and 10-8, and it was 9-7, and he had the winning of the tournament. And Zanda, a young Chinese fellow, he was very good. He set up some fantastic snookers, and then he came back into the frame and he made it 9-8. But Mark Allen shut it out at 10-8. He's playing very well. You know, he'd be a good outside bet for the next World Championship if he holds this thing. And just a few more bits and pieces. I mean, this is why Casper Ruud, who's in tennis, who's touted as the next big thing a couple of years back, he was beaten in the final in the Mexican tournament. Thompson from Australia beat him 6-3, 7-6. 6-3, 7-6. And Kachanov beat Mensur in the Qatar Open and Dubai Open. Paulini beat Kalishnikov 4-6, 7-6, 7-6. Close door. Anyway, Sports User Program on NerdMedia.tv.
Did you see that Everton's points reduction has been reduced?
Yeah, we're coming back to that. If they think, I was saying to that, if they think that the penalty was too excessive, why didn't they take all the points off?
That's a good question. I mean, what I couldn't understand is, okay, I mean, I understand that that they're saying they broke the rules and what have you, but the maximum deduction for insolvency for going broke is 9 points as per the Premier League rules. So
yeah.
how can you find dock somebody more points than that for going 19 million over what the cap is supposed to be? You know, it didn't make any sense what they were. It doesn't make any sense what they're doing with it anyway. So it's
no, it does not.
On the news tonight, Joe, they were just saying about it on BBC News. And they were saying about Man City have got 140 infringements of the rules. And the lawyers for Man City keep going back to the Premier League for clarification, please.
This is
a holding pattern.
Yeah.
And because their pockets are so deep, lawyers are obviously just, come back to us with another explanation of that rule, please.
Yeah.
Well,
it's just wrong.
It is wrong.
Yeah.
It's just wrong. You can't have one set of rules for one team and another team can just keep deferring.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not right.
Well, I think this whole Manchester City situation is bringing soccer into disrepute. It really is, I think it is, and this is not knocking Manchester City at all. It could be any other team, but I think it's reflective of society in general. The more money you have and the deeper your pocket,
the more rules you can break.
Yeah, it's the same. I suppose they're following the lead of the government and all of that, and society in general, which is what I said in a way. I mean, you look at. You look at there's something going on in the background. I'm just distracted a bit.
So you're
huh?
The researcher.
Yeah, that's the producer.
No, I mean the innocence of the game, the beauty of the game was encapsulated at the top of our program in our tribute to Stan Bowles, and that has been lost. I mean, there's a song in Manchester. I'd say, Darren, did you hear about parody about Man United? We're going to see the Coliseum, and then we're flying to Manchester to see Old Trafford falling down, because of because it's in
bad state. Yeah,
it's in bad state. Yeah. Are they going to build a new stadium?
Well, Ratcliffe said on the Football Focus that was one of his ideas, was to build a new Old Trafford that would make it basically the Wembley of the North. So England could play up north and they could have the FA Cup final up north rather than at Wembley, which, Joe, you'd have to tell me this, whether this is right or wrong. But, I mean, I would have thought it's every footballer's dream to play at Wembley, isn't it?
And that's the thing with it. I mean, you have your central stadium and that's where you want to be. Now, the only problem that I have with all of this is that the Wembley experience has been demeaned because they're putting semi-finals there now.
Yeah,
and they're putting league playoffs, and they're putting those things there, and that to me is taken away. It was the international stadium and it was the cup final stadium, and that was it. And
what about the scenario, lads? If you had Newcastle United playing Sunderland in an FA Cup final?
Yeah.
I don't think it's the fan thing about the cost.
But, rather than bringing them all down to London, I know your point about playing in the hallowed turf of Wembley, but
I just think there's football. Surely there has to be some kind of.
That's Joe's wife in the background. Joe, is that your wife in the background barking at you?
It is, yeah.
There's got to be some the traditions of the game. I mean, it's part of the FA Cup. I mean, Wembley is the FA Cup, isn't it? I mean, go back to 1923 with the White Hawk and all the rest of it, and I mean, there's so much.
I mean, it's like if Cork and Galway were in the All Ireland final. They said, let's play in Limerick. It's halfway between the two, and why are we going all the way to Dublin for it? I think it's mostly the fact of the day out, the experience that you have going to to the big stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be like the like the rugby, the whatever cup we have now, played at Lansdowne Road, or going to Croke Park. It's the experience of being there and having said you haven't played there. I mean, I read in Liam Brady's article or his book the other when I was reading it. The only reason he went on the South American tour that caused so many problems back in the Argentina, Jamaica, Brazil one was because he wanted to play in the Maracana. He'd never been to the Maracana. He'd never played there, and I thought it was ironic because I took his place for the tour to Brazil in 1974. Liam Arson wouldn't allow Liam go, so John Giles picked me to go.
Yeah,
I was only a young player at the time as well.
Was Eamon Dunphy on that tour?
Yes, he was. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Millwall. Was he with Millwall at the time? Was he?
So it was, so Liam went because he wanted to play at the Maracana. Well, when they got there, they switched the game to somewhere in the middle of Brazil, and he didn't even get to play in Maracana. So so it's kind of like every place, every city that you go to has a magical, stadium, national stadium that you want to be there and be a part of. Now, some of them, like that particular one in Chile that year in '74, was not the best place to be because it had been a detention camp.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of people have been killed there. Yeah.
Yes, they were, and Eamon Dunphy made a big did an interview on it and was written about it, and rightly so. I mean, you could see bullet marks on the walls when you were walking through there. So, it was kind of ironic because we beat Chile.
Was that in Santiago? Was it?
Yes. Yeah.
Santiago.
Yeah. So it's so that there are these kind of mythical places that you want to go to and play. So I think that's what Wembley has going for it. It has. I mean, it used to be the showcase for the Rugby League Cup final. Remember when they played that there? So it was hallowed ground, for a lot of people. But then, I read about who was it? Rod Stewart one that said that he's played at Wembley more times than Bobby Charlton.
Yeah, he has.
Because they played in all these charity events, and
that's right.
They'd play at Wembley to get all these big entertainers to play there, and they'd play on a Sunday morning, and they'd play the match. There'd be no one at the match probably, but they had sponsors and they had what have you. Matches played, and they're all down the pub afterwards and having a great time. So he said, that I played there more times than the England national side. So you hear things like that and it takes away from it a little bit. But if it's for charity and it's for a good cause, I think that you have to let that one go. But it always seemed to be the highlight of any footballer's career was to play at Wembley.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that Klopp has won the first of his 4 trophies. Is that right? Over the weekend, the League Cup has gone to Liverpool again. And I don't know about Chelsea. As I said, I couldn't watch the match. Maybe it was the mood I was in, but I thought it was a very poor fare,
Yeah, it's very interesting, and looking at the, you can look at it from two sides. I mean, they're making out about Klopp's kids and this, that, and the other for all the young players that Klopp had there, but Chelsea had in their squad, they had players from 20 to 20. Every player in their squad was from 20 to 26 years of age. 8 of those were 21 to 24. Right? Just take into account, Liverpool had a 32-year-old, a 31-year-old, two 27-year-olds, and a 26-year-old playing. Yeah. They had way more experience than the Chelsea team.
That's true.
Way more experience. Plus, they were able to substitute off a World Cup winner. They took a World Cup winner off in that game.
Oh, they did?
In McAllister.
Yeah, McAllister, yeah.
So when they talk about that and
Joe, sorry for coming across you. Liverpool had a manager. The guy with Chelsea, I wouldn't give tuppence to him.
Well, no, let's be very fair here, though, because as you went through it, as you were looking at that game and you were watching the last 15, 20 minutes of it, it looked like there was only one team going to win that game, and that was Chelsea, because they were pushing. Liverpool were really relying on the counter-attack. What happened between the time period of the 90 minutes being up and the extra time starting, I don't know. But we all know, we've heard it said from time immemorial, it's a game of two halves.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Has the dog got Joe?
Joe's been attacked by the dog.
Yeah.
We thought the dog could come in.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that Liverpool, their kids played great, don't get me wrong, and it's two philosophies, right? Whichever way you want to look at it, it's two ways of doing the same thing. You either buy talent or you nurture it, right? Chelsea have chosen to buy it. Liverpool have chosen to nurture it. Yeah. Now, there's one thing I know for sure, right? That if all of Liverpool's squad had been fit, those kids would not have been at that game. Where all of Chelsea's players would have been at the game. Because that's the road they're going down.
That's a fair point.
Klopp didn't do this. Klopp didn't do this because this is the way we're going to go forward with Liverpool. Klopp did this because Mo Salah and all those guys are sitting on the bench because they can't.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
So don't people be making it what it's not. This was a need that they had, and they were fortunate enough that the young lads came on and did a great job, and I'm very happy for them, and I hope they all go on to have good careers and what have you. But it's just two different ways of doing it. And unfortunately right now, Chelsea are in that process where they're trying to, I mean, if you look at the guys that we're talking about here, you're talking about the older players were
Sterling.
Well, Sterling for Chelsea is the oldest one, right? But you look at Van Dijk, the centre of defence, Konate, Gomez, Andrew Robertson, all experienced players, all league winners.
Yeah,
all those guys,
and all seasoned internationals as well.
Yeah, and then you look in midfield. And you look at Endo. Well, how old is Endo? 30, 31, something like that. Alexis McAllister, World Cup winner in midfield.
Yeah.
So you have a strong backbone of a team right there.
You still have, yeah.
And
during the week,
Chelsea did not have that.
The week coming, there'll be FA Cup matches during the week coming up, and tomorrow night, the ladies from Wales will be playing the Republic of Ireland in soccer in Tallaght Stadium, so that's something to look forward. And then the
England ladies have got Italy.
Yeah, and Ireland drew with Italy Friday night, which was a very good result away in Italy. The ladies, so it's 0-0, and they were unlucky not to nick it, but they played well. They're playing very well. It's a pity they didn't have a decent manager to World Cup. I still keep saying, to allow them the freedom to express themselves. That's only my opinion. We're going to leave tonight, lads. We're coming to the end of another show. We're going to close out tonight with that Stan Bowles tribute for people who may have missed at the start, and we're going to play out with that. And of course, Chris Nicholl. We'll remember Chris Nicholl as well. You know.
You know what Chris is probably most famous for? In one game, he scored 4 goals.
Go away.
Yeah, he scored 2 own goals and 2 goals for goal. He did. I think they were playing Everton. Villa were playing Everton.
I look it up, and if we have clips, if I can find a clip of that match, I'll play it next week for the lads. You know,
see how many of those players in the Rangers team that you can spot, like Jerry Francis, John Hollins.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Don Givens.
And in that
Dave Thomas
with Arsenal, there was Liam Brady,
Terry Mancini.
Yeah, I don't know if I didn't see Henry out there. I saw who else did I see on there that would be? I think I saw Stan's good buddy Don Shanks played with him at QPR, and when Stan became ill, Don Shanks had been a successful businessman and had done very well in his business, but sold everything up and started doing buying homes and turning them into dementia homes for people with Alzheimer's, dementia, the whole thing. And he was dedicated to doing that for his buddy Stan. They were great pals.
There's a lovely little tribute up in YouTube somewhere. I look by one of Stan's daughters. You know, it's just lovely. And he was a real man, a real footballer of the times, and the same with Mr. Nicholl. And we're going to leave you now with the mercurial movement of Stan Bowles. So for this edition of Sports You from Derwin Honan in Wembley, London, downtown London, uptown. What would you call it? Would you call it uptown, side town, or downtown?
Wembley. Everybody knows Wembley, mate. Everybody wants to be here in Wembley.
Okay, lads. Great having you. We'll see you again next Monday. So from Pat, Derwin, and Joe, so we'll see you again next Monday. Take care and good sporting for the week.
Thanks, boy.
Well, I think I'm very skillful, probably one of the most skillful in the country, I think so. And I'm told so. So I leave it at that.
And now the end is near, and so I face the final curtain. My friend, I'll say it clear, I'll state my case, of which I'm certain. I've lived a life that's full, I've traveled each and every highway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Regrets, I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. I did what I had to do and saw it through without exemption. I've planned each charted course, each careful step along the byway, and more, much more than this, I did it my way. Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when I bit up more than I could chew, but through it all I've laughed, I've cried, I've had my fill, my fair share of losing. And now as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that. And may I say, not in a shy way, oh no, not me, I did it my way. For what a man, what has he got, if not himself, then he is not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my Yes, it was my